dog.
Whoa, I love that intro song. How I've missed it.
Um, yeah, it's pretty good. I don't even remember how it goes. I didn't remember how it went until I heard it now.
Right. Yeah, because
Well,
that's how it works. We play it over our microphones.
let's all go to the podcast.
Let's all
Uh,
go to the podcast. Let's all go to the podcast to listen to their shit.
yeah. I mean, anyways, welcome back to another episode of Your Mother and My Dog, the podcast. After our last episode came out on September the 24th.
He's Josh, I'm Jesse.
Wow. So it's been a month. We took a little bit of like a month off, 4 weeks off.
hmm
Um, Podcast came out on the 24th of September. I probably watched the movie a few days later,
Yeah,
the movie that we're doing. So I haven't watched the movie in at least 3 weeks.
it's not so fresh this time.
So episode 32 is Prey, not to be mistaken with Eat, Pray, Love, the Julia Roberts film.
And not to be confused with Birds of Prey, the Margot Robbie movie.
Or We Pray at Night, which sounds like a horror movie. It's probably a horror movie.
And also not to be confused with The Green Mile.
You have to explain that one.
Yeah, I won't.
Not to be confused with Pope Francis.
Yes, those two are very easily confusable.
Yeah, so Prey. This podcast as a whole, episode 32, will be a little bit of a just two friends hanging out and talking. I can't say I made too many notes. I did make notes a month ago, and
Right.
they've been deleted.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just kind of going by memory and the IMDb page.
I watched a little refresher video of a YouTube channel that I enjoy, who kind of has a lot of the same opinions on this film that I do. I also learned a few things by watching it. But yeah, I used that. I watched that 10 minutes ago as a little refresher. So I'm all refreshed up.
Okay, well, while we're refreshed up and have that all into your brain, we might as well just start talking about the movie. Kind of, we're going old school here.
Oh, movie
It's
first.
basically like episode one. I'm just gonna talk about the movie first, recording on an old recording device, talking about the movie first, and then we'll get into stuff.
All right. That sounds like a plan.
So Prey was a movie that I picked um, a month ago. 2022 movie came out on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's a prequel, another prequel in the Predator franchise,
hmm
the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
hmm
Um, I haven't seen any of the Predator movies.
Right.
That includes Alien versus Predator.
hmm
We're also not hitting push to talk. You think that's going to be upsetting?
I'm pushed to talk.
I am not push to talk.
Sure, it'll be fine. Before, like when we did this and you didn't use push to talk, there was like I would just hear a ton of noise in the background at all times, but it sounds perfectly good to me. I think we're golden. I can tell by this long pause that you're currently trying to set up push to talk. And that you still haven't said anything is means that that's still what's going on. So I'll just sort of fill this blank space. Um,
Do I have to press
oh,
the
there he is again.
oh,
Oh, and there he went. He's gone.
okay, I got it. I got it.
Oh, he figured it out. Yeah. Josh and technology do not go hand in hand. I will say that.
Not live. Not while we're live. Well, okay, at all times. I get it.
hmm
So yeah, I don't remember much about the movie
Right.
all, but you seem to do. So you want to talk about the movie?
Yeah, I can give it a little bit of a rundown. Um, it was okay, if I would give it a general. feeling about it, just okay. Um, I think the original Predator movie is better than this, but I don't know. Maybe that's it. Might be like a nostalgia thing, sort of swaying how I really feel, because I haven't seen that movie in probably 15 years. I would have to guess, but I do remember really enjoying it. In this movie, I mean, I think that's a good point that you're bringing up, perhaps not on purpose. So you don't really remember much about this film because it's not really that memorable. Just kind of, just kind of boring. And I found while I was watching it, the plot just wasn't really pulling me along. Like I didn't really care what was happening. And also, at the same time, everything was like insanely predictable. Like there was no twists or turns in this movie at all. It was all like you kind of knew what was going to happen.
True, sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it was certainly a different take. It wasn't. You're painting it as this like pretty predictable,
Yes.
like cut and paste movie, but
Yes.
I mean, had a it had a pretty aesthetic.
Yeah, it was a pretty good to look at, especially like yeah, the shots in nature and stuff. It was a pretty film in that way.
It was filmed in Canada,
Yes, in Alberta.
in Alberta. Yeah. It just had a different. It just felt different than your normal movies. I don't know if it was like it felt more low budget. I don't know if that's what it is,
Um,
but
this film being low budget, is that what you said? Because it's
no,
not low budget.
I don't like it. I don't know if it felt low budget. Like it felt
Oh, okay,
different. Like the filming style.
right.
It looked different.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seemed like more of a low budget movie, even though I know it wasn't a low budget movie.
I
Is that a
think
positive or is that a negative?
I think that like low budget feeling, which I understand what you mean. It was a part of it was like maybe the acting. The acting just was not very good in general. And I don't know. Not that those two things necessarily go hand in hand, but like if I have a problem with the acting performances, it diminishes the film, and you could I guess perceive that as like a lower budget sort of thing.
You didn't like the acting,
No, not at all.
even though the acting, like most of these actors
Uh-huh.
hadn't really been in anything before.
Right.
So you think that's kind of the reason? Like it was just the acting was not good because the actors were not good?
Yeah, I mean, what other way would it not be good?
Well, how did you like the main girl?
I thought she was kind of boring.
Wow.
Did you not?
At the time, um, I still have the original scores from when I watched it,
Uh-huh.
and I did have acting pretty decently high. I did like the acting. I remember writing a note about how even though these are actors, um, they're supposed to be playing um, young Comanche warriors,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought even though there wasn't a lot of you know acting experience, that they all did pretty decently. Amber Midthunder as Naru
Mm-hmm.
was pretty high up there.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, like I even hearing now that most of these actors aren't actors professionally like before this, like maybe this might be their first performance. It's not like really making me be like, "Oh, well in that case, maybe it was okay." Like I think it was just too distracting for me to get over that.
The brother
Mm-hmm.
has one acting credit,
Okay.
and that is this one.
Yeah.
The actor who played the Predator was a former basketball player.
Oh.
He he played in Europe for a
Mm-hmm.
while, and
Mm-hmm.
then he did a few different things. Like he's in. he's in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. It's coming out. And he had a small role in The Walking Dead. But this was like kind of his big big part, big coming out.
Okay.
I mean, but Predator, he's not really going to be anything.
Well, I think like
Right.
I mean, I know the Predator didn't really act all that much, but he was one of the better aspects of this film, which is, I guess, a good thing because I guess that's kind of what this franchise is about. Like, you want to focus on him as the main villain, I guess, or whatever you want to call him. But he had interesting effects with him. Like, there was a lot of practical effects in this film, which I appreciated, and I thought they were done pretty well. So, and I mean, a lot of that, of course, a lot of those moments with practical effects had to do with Predator because there was more than just things going on that were surrounded with him. Like, I mean, there was a lot of hunting scenes and stuff, which I didn't find quite as effective as the parts of the film that actually had the Predator in it.
What about the French guys? You like the French guys?
Oh, the French guys were terrible.
But funny.
They were so cheesy. Like, I mean, unless they were trying to go for funny,
Probably.
like there was definitely a few moments where, you know, they were trying some comedy, I guess. But I just don't know if that tone really fit the film. It's sort of like it stood out too much, you know? It's like, oh, okay, they're trying to be funny now, and it's like, well, it's not really that funny. It just
Yeah.
it's like too much seriousness throughout the film to then throw in a few comedy moments that just fall flat. And then since there are so few of those moments and they do fall flat, they like really fall flat.
Yeah, it was a bit jarring. They're just kind of thrown in there.
Yeah, it just that didn't really work for me.
Like the the guys in her tribe were also, um, I guess, not great at the acting.
Yeah,
Um,
I would say that that part worked. Like if they were joking around with each other, which they did a little when they were going out and hunting and stuff. I thought that was actually fairly well done. But that was more like a conversational, like it wasn't clearly supposed to be a joke. Oh, oh, that's a joke that they just told. It was more like just like how were they conversing?
yeah, but I think that considering how big this movie is in such an iconic franchise, the budget was $65 million, and they put so much weight into these unknown actors just to kind of make it more authentic. Um, I thought was good. The one issue that I had, well, that I saw online as well, was that they're Comanche.
Yeah, but they were all speaking English the whole time, basically.
Well, they were all speaking English the whole time, but that they did that because like the Hunt for October thing, where they start talking Russian and then they switch to English, and then
Uh-huh.
you're just supposed to assume that they're talking in Russian, but they're only talking in English to make it easier. They actually um, filmed a second version in Comanche. It-
Yeah, they dubbed it over.
well, they didn't dub it over. Like they actually filmed the same scenes. I think.
No, 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 it's dubbed.
Okay, I
Yeah,
believe you.
I learned that through the video I watched. I was telling you about.
Oh, okay.
It's like, and apparently, the film was originally slated to be like they were going to be speaking Comanche, and but then I guess Disney didn't want that to happen. My guess is they were worried it wouldn't make as much money if it was not in English, which is kind of like a
Right.
sad reality, but that's probably what they thought.
The issue, going back to my first point, was that
Hmm. Hmm.
Comanche,
Yeah.
the people are southern U.S., but
Oh,
these,
okay.
but this is like northern U.S.,
Right.
Great Plains. So like they aren't actually in that
Oh, I
place at
see.
that time. So it
Hmm.
was unbelievable. And when I saw that, I immediately turned off the movie.
And you were just
Um,
done. That was it.
yeah, because I need legitimacy in my films.
Hmm. Yeah, so like I guess if I were to sum up what I thought the biggest problem was with this film, and like especially if you compare it to the original, which I mean I can't say I remember it amazingly, but I do remember it fondly, is that this film has a way more dialogue than the original Predator. Like, I mean, like in the original Predator, it's like mostly just Arnold Schwarzenegger, like for a good part of the film, and he's not really talking all that much. He talks to himself like a tiny bit, but it's more visual and more about the action and about the suspense, I guess, of like the predator hunting him. But in this one, like there was so much dialogue, but it didn't fit in. It just didn't like lend itself to the core of what these movies tend to be about. And so when I think about Predator, I think about an action movie, and I just this fell flat as an action movie. It felt like it was supposed to be a drama, and there just happened to be a predator there. I mean, he wasn't even like that on display, you know? Like I just didn't feel like he was in it enough. And there was just like too much about like them getting captured by the French, a lot about hunting. Like I did find it interesting like as a bit of a glimpse into like the Comanche like lifestyle, which maybe I can't speak to how authentic it was shown in this film, but it was interesting. That part was interesting, and then it just kind of like when it got into that hunting and sort of teasing the predator, like it spent a long time teasing that the predator was coming. And it's like just get to it already. And yeah, it just kind of lost me in that in between part of the film.
One of the original stars of the film, Jesse Ventura, who played Blaine Cooper.
Hmm.
Blaine Cooper. He
Hmm.
praised the film, thanking the director for making such a thoughtful, creative, and wonderful film.
Oh.
They are making a sequel to the prequel based on a comic book from 1996 called Predator 1718. So they're going back to that
Right.
olden time.
Well, I guess yeah, they're still making these movies because they feel like they can still make money off them. And I do appreciate to some extent what they've tried to do here. I mean, you could just make another action movie and be done with it, but they did add like the indigenous factor of to this, and which was interesting. But then it wasn't executed as well as it probably could have. Like it's having the whole film originally having the actors speaking Comanche would be a good start. I mean, all the French people were speaking French. Like I don't understand what the why that didn't why that wasn't what they did.
Yeah, that's a great point. Um,
It was just like really obvious. It's like, oh, they're speaking English. It's like, why are they speaking English?
have you seen 10 Cloverfield Lane?
No. Does that have to do with the Cloverfield movie?
The director, his first movie was that movie. This is, I think, his second movie.
Okay.
At the 23-minute mark, there was a mountain lion that roared.
Uh-huh.
Mountain lions apparently cannot roar. They can only scream.
Oh,
That was a goof.
a goof.
Okay, well, um, those were great points that you made.
Mm-hmm.
Very thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
Always appreciated on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Episode 32, Your Mother Ate My Dog.
Yeah.
Ray, Disney Plus. Okay, so you didn't like the acting. How did you
No.
feel? How did you feel? We don't have to get into it again. How did you feel about the ending?
Um,
The
pretty
ending. You never remember the ending.
Yeah, I remember the ending. Pretty predictable. Just like, oh, I wonder if, you know, yeah, it was just a little too on the nose. And like you knew when, because when, sorry, I forget her name. What's the name of the character, of the leading character? Naru. When Naru is like,
Naruto.
yeah, because a big part of it was she wanted to go out and be a hunter. And I guess a part of the plot was that since she was a female, that she wouldn't be able to do that. And she's like trying to prove herself, prove them wrong that she can. She, and then she sort of fails at the beginning. And the video that I was talking to you about sort of gave the same feeling that I had, which was like, oh, she's obviously gonna come back victorious from beating the predator, and how her brother came back with like the head of the mountain lion. She's gonna do the same thing, which is exactly what happened. And I felt like the last fight against the predator was pretty anticlimactic. And especially and like kind of unrealistic. Like I know she's fighting an alien, like that's not you're not really looking for realism. But the predator like killed a bear very easily, just like threw him around and like broke all his bones, and it was easy. And then all of a sudden he's fighting her and he's throwing her around and she's like getting up and is totally fine. So it like you could tell that they got to this part where like okay she's gonna fight the predator now. It's like oh but he was so strong earlier. It's like oh let's just like pretend that didn't happen. It'll just make the fight more interesting. But it was kind of just a bit more. It just felt kind of rushed, I guess, in a way. So yeah, like all those things combined, the ending for me was predictable and not that interesting. So maybe like a 3 out of 10.
You didn't like the circle that the story created, like when her brother brought did he bring a head or something um to the tribe at the
Uh huh.
beginning, and
Uh
they
huh.
were all like, "He's great," and then yeah, he brought the head of like was that a mountain lion, I guess,
Yeah, I think so.
and then she does the same thing at the end to kind of announce that she's the new warrior because her brother's
It's
dead.
it sounds good, but it just wasn't executed well.
That's
Just
what they were
this,
going for, but
I know it's just so predictable, and it didn't hold any weight. She didn't like come back with his head, and I was like damn that was incredible. I was just kind of like yeah that I knew that was gonna happen. It wasn't like as triumphant or sort of like inspiring perhaps as they were trying to make it.
yeah, the predator did die pretty easily.
He's like got stuck in mud and then like I don't know. It was pretty stupid.
But again, going back to earlier in the movie, she got stuck in the mud, so she learned and used that to her advantage. Smart. It's little smart things.
Mm-hmm.
It really makes you think as an
Yeah.
audience.
So yeah. If you say so.
Okay, so you didn't like the movie.
No. Are you picking up on that?
Yeah, it's more rare now that I pick a movie that you like,
Yeah,
which is
what's up with
sad.
that? I forgot that.
This is
Oh, go ahead.
this is unrelated, but The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is now on Crave.
Right. That's the
Nicolas
Nicolas
Cage
Cage
one.
movie. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I,
I won't pick it for the podcast, but
I totally forgot that I have to pick a movie. So don't ask me about what any hints about the next movie because I have not thought of that.
you've had a month to think about it.
I know, I forgot. It was like, you get into a routine and then it's like, oh
You
yeah,
don't have a whole list of movies at the ready?
no, I did, but now I've forgotten them.
You haven't written them down?
I haven't written them down.
Hmm. Okay, well, I guess, I mean, you already scored your ending, but you didn't score your acting.
Uh, Perhaps a little bit better. I won't get into it again, but like a four. Fairly
Okay, well, I
oh, go ahead.
no, you
I
continue.
was just
Sorry.
saying, like, fairly uninspired. You go ahead.
I gave I gave the acting much higher. It was at 7.25.
Okay.
I think I took into account the fact that they're not seasoned actors,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that they did, I thought, a believable job considering the circumstances.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's
7.25.
fair.
My ending, I gave a 7.5, because of what I said. With like, there were kind of droplets of stuff in the beginning of the movie that came around at the end of the movie, and I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. For
Right.
callbacks, I'm a sucker for callbacks.
Right.
We saw a lot of that. I could have done without the severed head, and then she paints her face
Mm-hmm.
like a warrior. I mean, he's already dead. I probably would have rather the predator live. I knew
Okay.
it was probably not going to happen. I thought that would be interesting.
You don't find the cyclical nature of this film a little like formulaic? You don't feel like a lot of films do that?
It was formulaic for sure. I mean, it was 99 minutes, so there was an extra 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
which could have been the last, like, the maybe that was just 10 minutes, but
Mm-hmm.
it yes, but you have to keep in mind that this is a Disney movie, and it felt like a Disney movie. Didn't feel like a Predator movie. It felt
Right.
like we were watching a Mulan kind of movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
So then I'll just give you my score to 10 since it's gonna be higher than
Mm-hmm.
yours. I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
7.5.
7.5.
Oh,
I've always been the one who given higher scores. My threshold higher than yours. You're gonna give it like a 3.5. It's fine.
you know, on Rotten
7.5.
Tomatoes, this thing got like 93%.
It it did. So like if we had an expectation score, it would have, hit a little lower than that, but we don't.
Yeah, yeah, we don't do that one anymore. I didn't look up anything about this movie before I watched it anyway, so it wouldn't have swayed me. But like looking at the information now, which I have up usually when we do the podcast, and seeing that it got 93%, I don't know how in the hell that is possible. But anyway, my score, given how I felt about the acting and the predictability, and how I thought it should be a Predator movie, and it didn't feel like a Predator movie. It felt like what you said, a Disney movie. And yeah, all the problems I said, I mean, it wasn't like a terrible, terrible movie. There was some parts that I liked. Like I said, I thought the Predator like design was kind of cool. And yeah, were some nice shots. And like the banter amongst uh the members of the tribe was also pretty good. So I mean, there was some highlights there. It wasn't just like a I hated every second of it. Like, dude, where's my car? So yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 10. Pretty close to the 3.5 you thought I would give it before.
How did you feel about the yo-yo tomahawk that she built?
It was a little silly.
Yeah, a little silly. Okay, 4 out of 10. Better than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is just because of my search history, but on the IMDb page, there is a category core like this, which gives you similar movies to the movie you're currently looking up.
Right.
The last two movies, there's four. One of them is Predator, the original. Um, is the movie Nope, the newest Jordan Peele movie, and the movie The Black Phone with Ethan Hawke, which are not anything like this movie, but there are two movies that I've watched recently. Who's listening?
Yeah, that
Am
must
I
be
right?
like a weird. Maybe it's one of those things where like Google has just been tracking you.
100%. Okay, so Prey is over. It was the longest movie we've watched, at 4 weeks or whatever. So good to get out of the way. You don't have another movie, which is fine. I'm just gonna give you a list of movies that I have on mine.
Well, no, don't give me a list because then you're going to ruin what could be. Wait. What are you listing? Movies that you're thinking of for the podcast or movies you've seen since this?
I'll name movies that I've seen recently that we haven't on the podcast.
Okay.
And then maybe
I have
maybe like, oh, that's good.
I do have two movies that I like am thinking about watching. One that Mackenzie just showed me and I'm like, "Hey, that would actually be pretty good." And then one that I thought of a couple days ago that I like just randomly was reminded of. And I thought would be like a funny it's like kind of like a throwback to how the type of movies we used to watch at the beginning of this podcast. Like reminiscent perhaps of The One. But
Okay.
anyway, you go ahead and list the movies you've seen recently.
Well, just keep in mind that it's spooky season, right? Halloween
Mm-hmm.
is very close. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that sways your if that sways you at all, because the next podcast will probably come out around Halloween.
Right.
Um, so I watched a movie called Top Gun Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a movie called Pinocchio.
Oh,
Pinocchio garbage. Don't watch that.
I was about to say I could have told you that.
And then Nope and The Black Phone. Pretty decent movies.
Uh-huh.
I also watched What We Do in the Shadows,
Oh, that's a good movie.
the 2014
Was that the first
classic.
time you had seen that movie?
It was not the
Oh,
first time I've seen the movie, so I didn't score or anything. I watched one episode of the new series that came
oh,
out.
the TV show? Yeah. That's supposed to be pretty
Yeah,
good.
the first episode was all right, but movie definitely better
Yes, that was a
at
funny
this point.
movie.
I guess I don't watch a lot of movies, so never mind.
Yeah, I haven't been watching a lot of movies lately. I can't remember the last one I watched.
Better not be Prey.
It might have been Prey.
Um, Maybe you should pick a Shia LaBeouf movie.
Actually, the most recent movie I saw was Jennifer's Body. You seen that?
Yes, I believe I've seen that this year. It's on my list.
I think I remember you mentioning it. This was the second time I've seen it. Kind of a
Maybe it wasn't this year. Maybe it was like last Halloween or something.
right. It was kind of a fun movie. It's like, it's like a horror movie but it doesn't take itself too seriously. But it worked, I thought.
Yeah, yeah. The expectation score was low, or I had low expectations, but
Hmm.
it was a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked. It was I like that movie. So yeah, I guess that's a good point. The next episode will be right around Halloween. So maybe I should pick sort of a Halloween type movie.
Well, don't necessarily pick a Halloween movie because
The one that Mackenzie recommended to me is would not be considered a Halloween movie even at all. And the
is
one that
it?
I had in mind, not really either.
You thinking Christmas already?
No, not Christmas. No.
Jennifer's Body has 45% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Jennifer's Body is better than a 45% movie. I'd probably give that movie like either a 6.5 or a 7, probably.
Okay, well, you think about it. Let me
Okay.
know at some point. We're not gonna let these people know.
Hmm.
But speaking of these people, I think it's
Greg?
time that we jump into. Yeah, We jump into our
Oh, our
follower of the week.
follower of the week. Thank goodness. We're finally there.
Yeah, so the follower of the week this week is an easy one. It's actually something I've thought about for the last month or so.
It's not going to be Yo-Yo Crazy Bones or whatever.
It's not Yo-Yo Crazy Bones. It is somebody who reached out to us
Oh,
and
a reacher
expressed,
outer.
yeah, expressed that they listen to the podcast, they enjoy the podcast.
Oh,
Um,
it's not your mom, right?
it's not my mom, who's also
Okay,
in Europe right now.
right. And also
They,
doesn't listen to our podcast.
yeah, um, they would probably be sad that we took a month off. Probably decent listening, maybe in the car
Mm-hmm.
on the way to their activities or whatever.
We are good car listening. I can attest to that.
Uh, okay. I mean, I guess if you like have to commute, a good half an hour there, half an hour
Yeah.
back, then
Or
yeah,
if you're
solo
like
episode.
you're waiting at the border to get into Seattle and you've just run out of things to do, you can just play us and everyone thinks it's hilarious.
Well, okay. Well, our follower of the week this week goes by the name of Patrick underscore Linden 3. I don't
Patrick
see
Linden 3. Not that Patrick Linden.
Patrick underscore Linden 3. Patrick Linden. Um, his profile picture is him paddling in a boat that I think I've been in, which is exciting. 139 followers, 315 following. He expressed to us that yeah, he's listened once or twice, which is nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
there's a cute dog from January 2019, where some sort of garment. Another same dog from the same day.
Mm-hmm.
So he posted two dog pictures on the same day, which is a bold move.
Yeah, he's one to do that.
Yeah,
So he's someone who's reached out to the podcast like in real life. He told you in
yeah,
real life, "Oh, I've listened to a few of the episodes."
yeah. And as soon as he did that, I'm like, okay, next episode, next podcast, he's gonna be the follow of the
We
week,
got to shout out Patrick.
guaranteed.
His profile picture used to be a blowfish. Is it still a blowfish? Or no, it's him paddling a boat, right?
It's not. It's him paddling, but I see the blowfish. He posted that picture May 2nd,
The
2013,
blowfish?
coming up with the 10.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm getting confused. That was his only post for a long time. But now he posts pictures of his dog Cooper apparently.
yeah. There's two dog pictures, a tattoo picture,
Hmm.
another dog
Okay.
video of him running in water.
He does like water. We're going to be
Uh,
seeing Patrick and his dog tomorrow in real life.
well, that's great. Don't tell us where you're gonna be, or you may have a horde of angry fans. Well, this won't come out before then, but
Right.
exciting. Our follow of the week, and that's really all that I prepared for this podcast.
Well, that's good. I think we can do with a bit of a shorter episode this time, even though we're already at 40 minutes.
Yeah, it's just good to get back in the groove.
Get into the groove. Yeah, definitely.
2 months, 2 months left of the year. So you better get your best of lists ready.
If things had gone according to plan, because we started like in January, right? Like January 6th or something.
Um, like, hey, I'll look up the first episode.
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll make you do that homework right now and figure out when our
So,
first episode came out. But if we had stuck to the plan, we would have had 52 episodes by the end of the year. But right now, this is like episode 32,
January 12th was the first
January 12th.
episode.
Okay, so we should have 51 episodes then, approximately, or perhaps even 50.
Primer is still our most popular episode. I don't know if that's still just because it's the first episode, maybe
I
because
don't
it's the
know. That's
shortest,
like
but
kind
it
of
has
a
been listened to the most.
that's kind of like a low quality. That's like if you really liked a modern like hip hop artist, and then you're like go back and listen to his like underground things he did at the beginning of his career, and it's just like wasn't as good, wasn't as polished. That's what you would do if you wanted. That would be your experience with us. Would be going back and listening to our primer episode.
We average 3 episodes a month.
Right.
So
It's not too bad, honestly.
so really we should be at 36 episodes
Right.
now for the year, which we're on pace for.
Yep. That's not so bad.
36 or 37. So not so bad.
Yeah. Not quite the weekly scheduled, but things come up or whatever.
Yeah, things come up. People are busy.
Oh yeah. It
Things
happens.
come up. It happens for sure. Yeah, nothing else planned for this episode. Just back to basics. S- That was a movie. That's what we should have watched because that's what this episode is. We're just back to basics.
Yeah, back to basics. That's right.
It's gonna be a pain to record or to edit, but
Yeah, I
what
suppose
are you gonna do?
what?
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
People want what the people want.
Yeah, I mean, got so used to not having to record, excuse me, having to edit. We got so concise with our methods. And then we had to switch what we're doing, and yeah, it's going to take up so much of your time. I always appreciate that you are the editor of these.
Do you have anything interesting, uh, anything fun or exciting to say before we
Anything
log
interesting,
off?
fun,
Or
or exciting to say?
yeah, just like anything you want to leave the episode with. Anything happen in your life that you're like, "Oh, I want to share that, Patrick,
Um,
Greg."
no, nothing too exciting. Last weekend, no. Last weekend, I guess I had a time trial because I do outrigger canoe, as you know. And last weekend, we had a time trial to get on Team Canada for Worlds in Samoa next year. And I did quite well. So it's not like that. It's not like a super simple process. You don't just like do really well. And if you're, fast enough, you just get on the crew. It's like you got to either put your own crew together or the Canadian outrigger like board, the Canadian outrigger. I'm not sure what exactly the acronym is. I know it's an R, but I don't know what that stands for.
Association. Oh,
Racing Association. I'm getting a little help from the sidelines here, if you can't tell. But yeah, it's up to them. Yeah, it's like a weird process. You can either like submit your team, who you think you should be on the team, and then they'll sort of like approve it. Or in a couple months, they'll be like, here's who we think we should be on the team. And it's sounding like that's going to be how it's going to go with a lot of the crews. So I'm pretty sure I'll be on the team. I can't guarantee, but probably.
so how does this work? Do you just like one team?
You get one team per age category for distance. It's a little different with sprints, but with distance, it's like yeah. So there's an open crew, which is under 40 years old, and then there's a masters crew, or it's just called at Worlds. It's just called 40s, and so you have to be in your 40s to be on that crew. And then there's a 50s, a 60s, a 70s, and that's all men. And then there's the same thing for women.
So this is Canada, but are they only picking people from like how do they get the people? How do they how do they get you?
Uh-huh. How did
Like is it just like okay.
What do you mean? There was a time
So
trial. It
it's
was like the national tryout to get on the team, and that was held in Vancouver last weekend.
oh, you went to Vancouver
Yes,
for
yes. So
this.
if you wanted to get on the team, you had to travel there and time trial.
I didn't realize that it was a traveling thing. I thought it was just
Yeah.
like in Victoria, you just okay. So is that just like Western Canada or
No,
everybody
no,
in
it does
Canada?
technically include Eastern Canada. I will say
The rigging.
as generally Western Canada has the faster paddlers, but it's not necessarily true. But it is I would say kind of a pain in the ass for if you say you lived in Toronto and you wanted to be on Team Canada. You would have to travel to Vancouver to do this time trial.
Okay, so everybody was in a centralized place. That makes more
Yeah,
sense. To answer my scrambled question.
yeah. I'm sure the listeners are just riveted by this, by the way.
Wait, weren't you sick too?
Yep. Unfortunately, I did just come
Wow.
off having COVID, and
And you think you did well enough to make Team Canada
yes, in the
and
craft I
travel
was
to
in, I
the
was the third.
wonderful island of
Yeah,
Samoa?
the craft I was in, I was the third fastest overall out of everyone.
Out of how many people you think?
Uh, well, from all the people who were in OC1, which is the name of my craft, in men, I think there must have been 30.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty good. Pretty good.
There was a couple people in this craft called a V1, which is like a similar thing, but my boat has a rudder, so I can use my feet steer myself. A V1, you can't do that. So you have to use like your strokes as a way of steering yourself. There was a couple people in those crafts that went faster than me as well. They are technically faster crafts, but um, it's not quite that simple. I mean, if it's flat water, yes, but if there's like conditions and it's a bit wavy, it's hard to keep them straight or windy. But anyway, yes, I did quite well.
Do they pay your way to Samoa, you think?
No, unfortunately, in Canada, the funding for a rigger is not, there isn't much. So,
I guess it's like a once in a lifetime thing.
yeah, like, I mean, every year it's kind of like the Olympics. You know how the Olympics go back and forth between summer and winter Olympics, that sort of thing. Well, this is like one year it's world distance, which is what I tried out for. So it's going to be like a 24-kilometer race. I think it's like at least 24 kilometers. And then next year it's going to be in Hawaii, or I should say by next year I mean 2024 because Samoa's in 2023. In 2024 it's in Hawaii and it's a sprint race where it's more like you can do 500 meters.
Right.
Yeah, like a dragon boat
And
race.
you're better long distance than you are sprint?
I would say I'm better long distance only because that's what I mainly train.
Right.
But I do plan on for Hawaii. I do plan on trying out for that as well for distance for sprints.
So once you make this
Mm-hmm.
team, so you'll train for long distance,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll do it. You'll go to Samoa and you'll do it, and then you'll switch focus to sprint.
Yep.
Is that
Yep.
that works? Oh, you.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. So once the crew gets formed, then Canada puts on like these training camps where you'll go to different places. I mean, for us, it'll be pretty handy because, well, I can't I can't really say that. A lot of the paddlers who tried out and did well are on the West Coast, in Vancouver or on the island. So that's helpful.
Yeah, so it'll be in BC basically. You won't have to
Yeah,
travel
yeah.
out of BC.
And say like four of us are from the island and two are from Vancouver, then we'd have some training camps in Victoria and then maybe some in Vancouver, that sort of thing.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's not very often that Worlds happens in Samoa. I don't think it's never happened up until this point. That's why that was part of the interest for me because I mean I've known of Worlds for a long time now and I've never tried out. Some years I probably could have made the team. I just never tried out.
Right.
But
So if it was in Victoria, you'd be like, well, what's the point?
yeah, like um, World Sprints, for instance, this year was in London, which doesn't really interest me all that much.
Ontario?
No, London, England.
You don't, that doesn't interest you? That'd be cold, I
Yeah, it's
guess.
just like London is not. When I think of outrigger, I don't think of London. It's like a very much like a Polynesian sport. So you think of Hawaii and Tahiti and Samoa, New Zealand, that kind of thing. And so like, but there it is like the Olympics in a way, like, that's why it was in the UK, because, they have a right to host it here and there. Like Canada, it was in Calgary in 2010, 2012, excuse me. It was in Calgary.
Thanks, Mackenzie.
Yeah, thanks, Mackenzie. Because she went to that one. Yeah, my partner also does outrigger canoe. She was in Tahiti.
Wait. They let women do this?
They do let women do it. Yeah, she won a medal when in Tahiti, actually.
And she's showing the camera right now.
Yep,
Oh,
you can see it.
wow, it's sparkly.
Yeah, pretty amazing. So yeah, anyway, that's enough of that because I feel like I've rambled on, and no one cares.
Well, nobody listens past the movie part, anyways. But it's
That's true.
interesting.
No, a very small percentage of people are at the 52-minute mark and still listening. So thank you, Ben, and thank you, Greg, for getting to this part.
Okay, well, on that note, that was interesting and exciting. Um,
Hmm. Well, I'm gonna go to bed.
yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much
Okay.
for coming on and sharing your opinions about your favorite movie, Prey.
You're welcome.
I had a wonderful time. I hope you had a wonderful time as well.
I had a fantabulous time.
Okay, great. Well, on that note, I think it's time to say goodbye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.